Hello, 180. Mr. Craigie here. What's the matter? You can't see me. Why not? I'm standing right here. Oh, there's no light. Is that better? You know, the average person can see a candle, just a little light from a candle, up to 1.6 miles away. A little light can go a long way. You know, we have been talking about the senses in a number of our lessons. Remember, we talked about how do you smell? We learned how does God hear? And then we had a lesson on salt and taste. Well, today's lesson, we're going to talk about light and seeing. Until recently, we had no idea what lurked in the deepest parts of the sea. The inky blackness of the deep barred its mysteries from our eyes. Only recently have we started to explore its murky depths. And what we have found has amazed us. Instead of total darkness, lights flash constantly all over, just like a summer night topside. A little marine lingo for you there, meaning above the water. Okay. In fact, 90% of the creatures who live in the deep sea have some sort of means to produce their own light. We call this bioluminescence, which means living light. On land, only a few creatures do that, right? Fireflies and glowworms, the two that come to my mind. And it's a miraculous ability to be able to create your own light. It is not an easy thing to do. Okay? The chemistry is mind-blowing. But in the deep, where the sunlight barely penetrates, God has designed a variety of creatures with this ability. As kind of like alternate light sources. Okay? There are three main ways that animals of the deep use their light. Search for food, avoid becoming food, and communication with each other. Let me give you an example. Searching for food. Predators often carry lights to spot their potential meals. Okay? It's kind of like it's located usually around their eyes. And these lights work kind of like car headlights. You know, it's piercing the darkness and exposing something to eat. The dragonfish actually has 3 separate light organs beneath each eye. 2 of them actually shine red light. And they're like night scopes to help them to sneak up on fish that can only see blue light. Other predators are more cunning. The deep sea anglerfish, for example, dangles a bright lure from near its mouth, waiting for the next meal, who happened to be curious to see what the light was about, to come by and fall into its trap. You might think that only predators would have a use for light. Since so many nasty creatures are attracted to light, why would you have a light? It would just attract the predators, right? And reveal where you are. But one of the coolest ways that light is used in the deep sea is as a decoy. For instance, the vampire squid actually emits a fluid that lights up. So it can emit this fluid from its body, and the predator will go after that because it can see it as light. And meanwhile, the vampire squid can get away. When frightened by a fish, the furry-looking marine worm does a similar thing. It has these blobs of bright green fluid that comes from its body. And again, there would always be these bright green blobs around it, confusing the fish that's trying to eat it and allowing it to get away. Pretty neat, huh? But the most interesting use of light for defense comes from creatures like the hatchetfish. Under normal light, the hatchetfish looks truly bizarre. It has these large eyes, and the thing is translucent. But God gave them special light-producing organs along their belly that allow them to be able to use counter-illumination. This magic trick contradicts what you might expect. These creatures actually use light to disappear. And you're probably wondering, how the heck does that work? But let me show you. Imagine that you are a hungry sea monster looking up to see if there's any creatures above you. Now, as you look up, it becomes lighter as you look towards the surface, right? And if you would see them like they were a silhouette up there. Especially, let's say, against the shimmering moonlight. You'd see this, it'd be like a black fish. You could see it up there, and they would know there's something up there, and they could go get it. So what do? Well, the solution is to illuminate the body parts that would give away your location in the same light as the moonlight above. When a predator looks up, instead of seeing a shadow, it sees water illuminated by the same kind of light as that moonlight. It's really fascinating. Finally, lighting is used in the deep sea for communication, similar to how a firefly uses its light. True to its name, the firefly squid provides an especially spectacular display. Flashing blue lights ring its body. Indeed, celebrations are held in Japan to honor the firefly squid. The flashing lights are thought to be used for defense, but recent evidence indicates that their eyes are sensitive to blue light, supporting the idea that these lights might actually be used also for communication. Bioluminescence is a great example of convergence. What's convergence? Well, convergence is where similar features are found in different species, meaning that those who believe in evolution have to believe that these complex features managed to evolve multiple times. In the case of bioluminescence, evolutionary biologists are forced to conclude that this feature evolved independently about 40 times. It's crazy. It's much less leap of faith to believe that God designed us and also designed bioluminescence. So what does all this have to do with 180? Well, you see, cities in ancient times were often built on a hill. And this was especially important for those 6 cities in Israel that were designated as cities of refuge. You can read about these cities in the book of Joshua, chapter 20. You see, these cities of refuge were for a place for a person to flee if they had unintentionally killed somebody. They were located geographically so that no one in Israel would have to travel more than a day's worth of travel to get to them. And once inside the city, they were protected from those who wanted revenge. At night, these cities would be easy to see because they were built on a hill. In Hebrews 6, verse 18, coming to Christ is like fleeing for refuge. You are really fleeing from what you deserve as a punishment because of your sin against God. That punishment demands eternity in hell. But instead, we can flee to Christ. No wonder that Jesus says about himself in John 8, verse 12, I am the light of the world. He who follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. I wish we were together today because our sword drill would be like no other. Are you ready? Our sword drill scripture today is the scripture that is on the big mural in the 180 room. You know, the one with the city at night. Did you find the scripture yet? All right, I'll give you a hint. It's Matthew 5, verse 14. We'll also read Matthew 5, verse 16. Well, here's what it says. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. So let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. You see, a small light can make a big impact in dark surroundings, just like we were seeing with these deep sea creatures. And you could see light for quite some distance. Remember with the candle, you can see it 1.6 miles away. We are to be like a city on a hill, reflecting the light of Jesus to our dark surroundings, ready to be a refuge for those coming to their senses and running to Jesus and the salvation that he brings. If you shine, they will come. May God bless you. May you have a great week and hope to see you soon.